Today's sew-along is for a garment full of personality and history. This is the Lotus Jar skirt by the Linen Lab. It's a Korean-style lantern skirt which features a flat front waistband and an elasticated back waistband, as well as front/pockets and a back and front skirt piece that are created by attaching a top and bottom piece, which creates a distinct and unique curve at the bottom section of the skirt. This sewing project is suitable for all sewing levels, and you can whip up this skirt in just a couple of hours. I hope you join me. Let's get started. Here is the bottom edge of my top skirt piece. I'm going to place the top of one of my bottom skirt pieces right sides together with the bottom of the top skirt piece, matching the centers and pinning in place. And then I'll continue pinning from the center point to the outer edges of the skirt. Now I'll sew this seam from one outer edge straight across to the opposite outer edge with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Then I'll finish the raw edges and press the seam down toward the bottom of the skirt. And then repeat to attach your remaining bottom skirt piece to the bottom of your back top skirt piece. Here is the right side of my front skirt piece once again, and we're going to attach the pockets. Place your upper side pockets right sides together with the slanted edge of your front skirt and pin in place. And then sew those pockets to the skirt with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Now that that's sewn, we can trim those seam allowances to 1/4 of an inch. And then flip those pockets to the wrong side of the garment and give those pocket seams a good press. Then we're going to go back to the sewing machine and top stitch those slanted pocket seams with a 1/2-inch seam allowance. Now place your lower side pockets on top of your upper side pockets right sides together and pin in place along those curved edges matching your notches. Then we'll sew those two pocket layers together along that curved seam with a 1/2-inch seam allowance, and then finish the raw edges. Now that we've sewn and finished those pockets, we're going to baste the pockets along the side and bottom edges. Pin them in place. Then using about a 3/8-inch seam allowance, we're going to baste the top and side edges in place. Here is the right side of one of my front skirt side seams. I'm going to place the back and front skirt right sides together along the side seam and pin in place, making sure to line up those bottom seams. Once you've pinned from the top of the skirt to the bottom of the skirt, repeat for the other side seam. Sew both of your side seams with a 1/2-inch seam allowance and finish the raw edges. And then press those side seam allowances toward the back skirt. Cut a strip of interfacing to measure half the width of your front waistband piece and press in place. Place your front and back waistband pieces right sides together and pin one short end. Sew this one short end with a 1/2-inch seam allowance and press the seam open. Then go back to your ironing board and fold up the interfaced edge to the wrong side by 1/2 of an inch, continuing to do the same along the back waistband piece. Once those bottom edges are pressed, open out that fold for now and place the remaining short edge right sides together and pin in place. Sew with a 1/2-inch seam allowance and press the seam open. Now the waistband is ready to be attached to the skirt. Now we're going to place the waistband along the top of the skirt so that the right side of the waistband faces the wrong side of the skirt. Align the unfolded edge of your waistband with the raw edge of the skirt and pin both of the side seams. And then continue pinning around the entire waistline. Sew all the way around the entire top of the skirt with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then you'll press that seam allowance up toward the waistband. Now that the bottom portion of the waistband is sewn in place and the seam allowance is pressed up toward the waistband, we'll take that top folded edge of the waistband and fold it to the seam that we just sewed. You want the folded edge of the waistband to just cover the stitching line. And pin in place all the way around. Once you've pinned all the way around, we're going to edge stitch close to that outer folded edge, leaving a gap at both side seams of the back waistband so that we can insert the elastic. I'm going to leave a gap in my stitching of about 1.5 inches at both back side seams. I've cut a piece of elastic to the length provided in the pattern instructions for my size. I'm going to attach a safety pin to one short edge and draw it through the back waistband through the gap that I left in my stitches. Once I've drawn it through about halfway, I'm going to place the short edge of the elastic inside so that it just lays over that seam. Now that I can feel that elastic sitting over that seam, I'm going to pin in place, stitch in the ditch of that seam line to secure the elastic in place. Now that one side of the elastic is secured in place, continue drawing the elastic through to the opposite side seam. Then we can remove our safety pin and place that short edge of the elastic over the seam line just as we did on the other side. And pin to secure. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch in the ditch just as we did on the other side. Now that the elastic is secured on both sides, we want to close the gaps in our stitching. Take it to your sewing machine and edge stitch following the original stitching line to close the gap on both sides. Now to hem the bottom raw edge of the skirt, we're going to take the raw edge and fold it to the wrong side by 3/4 of an inch and press all the way around the bottom. Once you have that initial crease in place, we're going to take the raw edge and fold it to the wrong side once again, this time folding it to the crease. And then on the crease, again pressing all the way around. Now our rolled hem is prepared, and we can secure the hem by edge stitching close to that inner fold all the way around. Give everything a nice final press and your skirt is complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you check out the rest of my video library for more great sewing inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video.